Welcome to the Positive Pants Podcast. Mindset, motivation, and inspiration to help you find your positive pants. Let go of negative thinking and stop living for the weekend. With your host, Fran Excel.
Hi guys. This is a big episode. And I wanted to kind of frame it. When I recorded it was, a few days ago. And thankfully the conversation is starting to change. I really feel it. I feel like the conversation is starting to turn to empathy and a desire for education, less hysteria, more peaceful. But there's a lot going on, and we have to just name it. There is no right thing to say. There isn't. And I talk about that a lot in this episode. There really is no right thing to say. This issue is so complex in its magnitude. So no matter, we could spend years and years learning about this and we could still never understand it. I will never be able to understand it because I'm not a Black person. It's not something I've had to experience myself. All I can do is listen and learn and have the conversations. And that's kind of where I've been at this week. I've had more conversations and got more passionate about something than I have in a long time. But it's not about me. It's not about me. I'm no authority whatsoever. I'm in the same boat as everyone else. And all I want people to do is listen. And I'm hoping that people will understand this is mainly aimed towards my white community. But what I would love is for anyone in my Black community to, if you feel inclined, to continue the conversation. I would love that. I've been seeing some incredible conversations. I'm in a big business group and something happened that was unintentional from the leader, but the conversations that came out of it were incredible. And that's the opportunity that we have now. We are going to get this wrong. I am going to get this wrong. As much as I try not to, I've actually just got to stop trying to not get it wrong. Because I am going to. You are going to. All we can do is make the changes within ourselves. And that's kind of what this podcast is about, this episode. It's about our unconscious bias, where they come from. It's about how we can choose to move forward. Because this issue, and the way I'm framing this podcast, isn't just about what's going on right now. It's about all the important issues that we have. Because when we can understand our unconscious bias and understand our own echo chambers, we can really, really start to make a change on some stupendously important issues. And I really do feel like 2020, weird as it is going to be transformative on many, many levels. So I want this to be used as the opportunity that it is. And I hope I don't offend anybody, and I acknowledge that I probably will. And I hope that people can see where this comes from. And I hope that we all continue the conversation. I just wanted to say, it's not for me to tell you what to read, what to do, who to listen to. But what I've been doing, it's helpful for me to tell you what I've been doing, just so you're aware. My feed is now filled with awesome resources. The people that I've been loving following is on Instagram, because we know that's my happy place, is Layla F. Saad, and I'll link these in the show notes, Rachel.Cargill, Arja Barber, who's also in the group. I heard her speak. She's incredible. And being really conscious of what I'm watching and reading and taking part in listening, at the least. Listening. Book-wise, How to Be Anti-Racist, Me and White Supremacy. They're the two that I'm reading at the moment. I'm sure there will be more that come out of it. Something that touched me a while ago when I saw it, that really highlights this issue, is When They See Us. on Netflix. It's incredibly done, absolutely incredibly done. So that's something that I've watched before. Let's just have the conversations. Let's just start there. It's not about doing anything for show. It's wanting to do the work yourself. So I sincerely hope from the bottom of my heart that my intentions come across in this episode. I really do. If they don't, I'm more than open for the learning. So yeah, here we go. Yet again, there has been a lot going on in the world and it feels heavy. Like so many, I have been deeply, deeply saddened by what I've seen. What happened to George Floyd is truly horrific and indicative of our society still today, unfortunately. You can't ignore racism and pretend it doesn't exist. It exists. And if you don't think so, you've got the blinkers on. It exists everywhere. In the education system, employment, everyday situations that can be so easily taken for granted. I can sit here very easily in my white, privately educated privilege and tell you what you should read, share content daily, share my opinion on it daily, and sit and judge you for however you choose to handle it. I can share the falsified reports and coverage that whips you into a frenzy even more. I can pressure you into speaking up. I can do all that. But that is not me. I'm not one to jump on a bandwagon. As you will know, if you've been following me for a little while, we've had a few bandwagons that we could have jumped on recently, and I always handle them the same way. I'm not one to judge negatively what other people want to do or not do in these situations. It might drive me bonkers what I see. I might agree or disagree with certain things, but it's not about judgment and making other people wrong. Everyone is going to do what's right for them, and I get that. People are entitled to their own opinion and actions, whoever they are, whether they choose to shout about things or not. It's just not how I do things. And to be honest, it's not what I agree with. I don't agree it's a helpful way to deal with these situations, which are an opportunity for change. That might not sit well with some people, but it is how I choose to roll and not get involved in social hysteria. I personally just don't think it's helpful. And so I use my platform, my baby podcast, because this is where I'm happy to sit and have a chat with you guys and have an honest conversation. At the moment, it's kind of right back to social shaming for what people are or aren't saying. And I don't agree with that. It's back to making all the assumptions and not taking a minute to question things or see another perspective than your own. And I don't agree with that. That's not me judging people. It's just me choosing to do things my way. And I think that's hugely important to understand. We should all be able to do that, no matter where we're from or who we are or what color our skin is. And it saddens me that that's not been the case. Even me saying that right now, each of you listening will take something different from it. We'll make assumptions and potentially hear different things, whether I'm actually saying them or not. It's what we're wired to do. And it's important to understand that we each have our own set of filters that we delete, distort, and generalize through. It's certainly not for me to tell you what to do in this situation. That's not what this podcast or any other platforms that I'm on are for. It shouldn't be what you look to me for. Words have power. I'm aware of the responsibility that I have, especially with the subject matter that I talk about, which is why I'm always trying to empower you to understand how much power you have and take it back for yourself over your own opinion, over your own beliefs, over your own thoughts. I can absolutely share with you what I'm doing to educate myself in this situation, but ultimately the decision for what to do or not do has to come from and start with you, not something that anyone pressures you into. I do not claim to be an expert in race. Quite the opposite. One thing I am grateful to possess is human empathy and a little bit of an understanding on how we tick as humans and creatures of habit and how our unconscious drives our behavior. We have to stop generalizing because it's adding to the hate and the divide. We can't generalize all white people as the same, all black people as the same, all police as the same, all men, women, genders as the same under each of those huge umbrellas. So where so much of the damage is done, much of it unconscious. There are so many different polarizing opinions out there from all sides of this. Hopefully, global shift. People want and need different things right now from all sides. You may have one person saying, why don't you ask me how I feel about this? And somebody else saying, stop asking me how I feel about this. And from every single side, somebody's going to need something different. We need to challenge what is truth. We need to wake up to our unconscious thoughts, beliefs, and behaviors and realize what we've been doing and make sure we don't continue doing it. One person does not speak for an entire race, which is one of the reasons so many people have felt so confused, because there have been many, many, many conflicting opinions seemingly speaking with the same voice. So for me, it's important to understand this stuff so we can make a change at the root cause, not from something that we're just doing for show. It's naive to think that this can be fixed or changed on a global scale through social media posts. You know, it's not about what I share or don't share, or anyone else for that matter. Some people will take longer to process this stuff. Some people may just not be able to get on social media right now because it's so overwhelming. They may need to take a little minute. Don't mistake silence for indifference or anything else for that matter. If you're looking for a reason to be angry, you will find it. And I get it. Here's something else that is important to understand. We, as humans, live in an echo chamber of our own unconscious bias. We unconsciously shape our worlds that way. The definition of an echo chamber is an environment in which a person encounters only beliefs or opinions that coincide with their own, so that their existing views are reinforced and alternative ideas are not considered. Let that sink in. This is how we live on a daily basis. We tend to want our opinions parroted back to us to validate what we do and don't believe. Yeah, this comes through from who we're raised by, the media we consume, the people we hang out with, where we choose to go, everything. So you guys just start to understand why I limit my media. Yeah, but we don't tend to ever question or challenge the status quo unless something devastating happens or we're forced into it. Far easier to ignore the uncomfortable stuff, right? Our brains are always trying to reinforce and provide the evidence for what we unconsciously believe. And when this is driving 95 to 99% of your behavior, it's really easy to see how we have such huge segments of society and such huge divides across race, gender, class, sexual orientation, etc. It's this us versus them mentality. We just don't seem to see each other at our core as human beings. All of us. You know, it's easy to assume so much, and get things wrong in this situation. Many will and have. I will. I probably have. You will. There is no right thing to say that will please everyone listening, reading, or watching. Yeah? We can hopefully be forgiven for that. We're human and we all get things wrong. What we may think is standing up for people or particular groups can actually be hugely patronizing to many. We can assume what the right thing to do is, but it doesn't mean it is. That's not to say people are wrong for trying. I just personally think that unless you're speaking to, or at least listening to, the people who are directly affected, you can never truly understand or judge what is right in any situation. If you're not truly understanding their perspective, how can you? You know, if someone is not speaking out, it does not mean that they are a racist. You know, it doesn't mean that they don't give a damn about other people or their pain. So don't look to other people to help you work out what you believe. Yeah, I really mean that. Do not look to other people to help you work out what you believe. You have to do the work. Concentrate on yourself. Educate yourself. It's not up to anyone else to tell you what to think, me included. So what I'm trying to do here is just give you kind of my take on things, but you can take it or leave it. You can agree or not agree. It's completely up to you. It's not for anyone else to judge you for what you do or do not say. That's up to you. You'll judge yourself. You shouldn't have to post on social media just because you're told you should or peer pressured into it. But if someone doesn't, don't just assume that means they aren't doing anything behind the scenes. Assumptions are freaking dangerous and simply things that you have made up in your own head to judge others or find something to be angry about. You may agree with me, you may not. That is fine. There is always a cause to fight for, but it shouldn't be a flash in the pan that's gone in a couple of weeks' time because there's less media coverage, less reporting, less of an obvious confronting issue. This is stuff we should be aware of all the time. There is a huge amount of injustice in the world. Some I've been more privy to, some I haven't. Some I'm downright ignorant of. That's not my fault. But now I get to make a choice. Hashtag me too, hashtag be kind, hashtag Black Lives Matter. They're all such worthy causes, but we need to keep the conversation going past the social hysteria at home to ourselves. There are so many people out there scared to have the conversation. That's where things need to start. The conversation, questioning, working out what your own unconscious beliefs are around the issues that are important to you and challenging them, welcoming other people, challenging them, being open. But we have to be aware of the root cause of something so insidious in our society if anything is going to change. And I believe that starts at home with some brutal honesty and some openness to be wrong. You know, getting involved in the conversation doesn't have to mean shouting from the rooftops if you don't believe that's what's helpful. Actions speak louder than words. Whether that's reading a blog, whether that's following people on social media, just making a conscious choice to educate yourself on what you can do. You know, doing your own research, putting that effort into doing your own research. Question everything in all areas of your life. Question everything. You know, there's a bias in us as well about anything that's different to us. You know, we don't talk about it. We are curious about or attracted to, or we avoid or are even scared of difference simply because it's different. And you can see that across many, many subsections of society. Not just race. You see that everywhere. We are all operating from what we're taught as children. That's not our fault, but it is where we can make a change. You know, it's from society, movies, the news, music, your parents, their parents, their parents. It's passed down through generations and the buck stops with you. You get to change it. You get to decide if you agree or not. You get to decide what's right and wrong. There will always be different opinions. You know, for me, it is about being open to being educated, acknowledging your ignorance and choosing to educate yourself. We have to be aware of confirmation bias. You know, the dictionary definition is a bias that results from the tendency to process and analyze information in such a way that it supports one's pre-existing ideas and convictions. This is where the deletions, the distortions, and the generalizations come into play. And we do it all unconsciously to fit our map of the world. The reality is change starts with you, your own unconscious bias. It starts with self-awareness. It starts with knowing what you care about. We can't be scared of the conversation. We have to have the conversation with the right people. Get out of your echo chamber. Ask the hard questions. A simple Google search will provide you with tons of reputable sources to help. If you do a simple Google search for Black Lives Matter right now, you'll find a huge amount of reliable information, not fake news, reliable information. Pick your sources. You know, how you can educate yourself further, what white people can do to support. This is not about finding sources that will echo your opinion and make you feel better. It's the hard stuff. Sharing a post on social media won't do that either. This is about looking at the hard stuff. It's about not voting bigots into power. It's also not about my opinion. It's not about my freaking opinion. It's not about the opinion of any influencers that you follow. It's about your opinion and the opinion of those who live this on a daily basis. Those who are truly in a position to educate you. Choose what you read. Choose what you listen to. Choose what you watch. Question it and wake up. Think about what you're teaching the next generation, because genuinely that is where some real change can happen. Don't make it something you care about for a couple of weeks while it's raw in everyone's minds to only be forgotten when the next devastating thing happens. How can you incorporate this awareness and this change into your life every day? Not just when social media tells you to. What do you care about? What are you passionate about? If you're going to truly campaign and mean it, what do you feel passionately about changing in the world? Is it basic human rights? Is it racism? Is it gender equality, the environment, mental health, domestic violence, animal rights, sexual harassments? Check your ignorance on all of them and check your bias, and I will check mine. It's not about what you post on social media. It's about what you do. I believe so many important issues have been raised in 2020 so far. So many deeply rooted constructs that have been pushed to the surface and been given an opportunity to address, an opportunity to readdress some sort of balance, an opportunity for unity. It rhymed. To question and let go of unconscious bias that has been around for centuries or generations, whatever it may be. We have an opportunity to undo so many things right now, but it starts with our own education, and we are the ones that are responsible for that. On all sides of every debate, we have an opportunity. You don't have to become a campaigner for everything unless that's a route you want to go down, of course. You can simply start with educating yourself and changing that bias. Choose to stop turning a blind eye. The only mistake you can make here is to stay in ignorance, avoidance, or ignore it completely. Ignorance is a funny one. It's such a hard-hitting word with so many negative connotations, but if you can take a step back and see it for what it actually is, which is simply a lack of knowledge, understanding, or information about something, according to the Cambridge Dictionary. That's it. A lack of knowledge, understanding, or information about something. You can see straight away how you can change that and how it's not a slight on you as a person. We're all ignorant to something. You get to choose if you stay there. For me, this isn't about posting all over social media for a couple of weeks. It's about doing the work and actually educating myself, having the conversation. We all need to stop perpetuating the problem with the social hysteria, keeping that divide, making it us versus them. We're different. All of us have a responsibility to recognize where we might be doing that, consciously or unconsciously. We've got to be aware where we're blanketing and generalizing an assumption or an opinion onto an entire ethnicity or race. This issue is gigantic. And in my humble, very privileged opinion, the change starts at home. Educate yourself and those around you. Be aware and challenge what you read, listen to, watch, look for the unconscious bias, because you won't see it until you choose to look. Teach your kids that we're all the same. We're all human. Knowledge is power and it is choice. We are humans. Sex, gender, race, whatever our differences, at our core, we're all human. We all have unconscious bias, one way or the other, as to what we believe. We all need to change that for anything to change. So all I ask is be honest with yourself, however uncomfortable. Ask the right questions of yourself and of the people who go through it daily. Get to the core of the issue for you. What are your beliefs? Notice them, challenge them, change them. Educate yourself so you can start to choose to do better. Start today, but just start. I know it's been a heavy week, guys, like a heavy couple of weeks. It's heavy, but it's that age-old thing, breakdown before breakthrough. And let's hope that this isn't another flash in the pan that lasts a couple of weeks. Let's hope that this has really, really spurred people to change. And as always, I will see you next week.